Relatively speaking, you're being asked to pay about half of what my parents' generation paid, because we've simply not kept current with the fuel tax. We've not raised it. The last time it was raised at the federal level was 1992. The last time it was raised at the state level was 1997. In today's dollars, you're all paying about half of what people paid in the 1960s to build the interstate system. A lot of what I talk about on transportation investment is a generational responsibility. If you don't maintain it and take care of it, it won't last. And ultimately, we're going to turn this over to our children. So the question is, our parents' generation paid twice what we're paying. If we don't invest, we're going to turn this over to our kids, and they're going to have to pay a lot more. The interstates, for the most part, were built in the 1960s. They're 50 years old. We really need to replace the entire pavement. What happens when we do these overlays, and you probably notice it, is that each time we do an overlay, it doesn't last as long as it did the last time. Why? Well, the material underneath is aging and getting weaker, so it isn't as strong as supported. It's a lot like putting a coat of paint on wood that's aging. You paint it, it lasts a while, and then each time you keep trying to do it without replacing the wood, it doesn't last as long. We're sort of losing ground, meaning the age of the bridges are such that they're catching up faster, they're aging faster than we can keep up with them. When it comes to capacity, meaning the areas where you're sitting in traffic, sitting in congestion, you haven't seen us do much at all about that for many years, and we're not in a position to do much about it going forward unless revenue changes, because we're not keeping up with our maintenance, so we're not about to start adding lanes. I'll tell you a little bit about what I think is important about whatever we do on finance, One, it has to be inflationary. All right, we haven't touched anything since 1997. The last time it was done, there was a 3.5-cent gas tax and adjustment in your registration and license fees. Well, 3% inflation a year on average, 2 to 2.5% inflation of costs. If you only do a 3-cent gas tax, it's gone in a year and a half in buying power. Also, we need to establish a multimodal fund. Right now, we have a big investment going on down here in rail, creating a multimodal center, which is going to be great for this area. Great to serve the freight in this area, and I think be an economic driver in this area. But the issue we've got on freight and ports and airports is that we don't have annual investment. On the highway side, we've got this motor license fund where we can do multi-year planning on highway projects. On the other modes, we have to wait and see what gets identified in the capital budget every year. I think we need to, once and for all, establish a multimodal fund. We've recommended taking all the motor license violations that anybody here that speeds or occasionally runs a stop sign or red light, your violations go to a moving violation fund. And then using technology to modernize our approach. A couple examples. We have red light cameras right now in Philadelphia. It reduces the cost of enforcement and it improves safety. We've seen a reduction, dramatic reduction in people running red lights. Why? You get a ticket every time you do it, even if there's nobody there watching you. It changes behavior, it makes it safer for pedestrians, and reduces the cost of enforcement. Automated work zone. In Maryland, if you drive in Maryland through a construction zone and you speed, you will get a ticket. They'll take a picture of your license plate and send you a ticket in the mail. What happens? Well, it generated a lot of revenue initially. That's not why they did it. What happened in year 2 is the speeding violations dropped measurably, which is great because we lose people. We lose construction workers and our employees in accidents because people drive through too fast through our construction zones. Using automation, using technology reduces our costs, improves safety for you and for our workers out there. Another example on the technology side, you all send us your registration fees in and we send you back your registration and that little sticker you fill up with your license plate. For years, that's the way the state police identified whether or not you were current in your registration. They still do it that way. But they have onboard computers now and can use that technology to do the research on your license. If we eliminate the stickers and go to a 2-year registration instead of an annual registration, you can do it all online. No exchange of mail, reduce our costs, reduce your costs, and you don't have to worry about carefully peeling off that little sticker and getting back on your license plate. So changing, modernizing technology, it reduces our cost, reduces your cost, and once again I think makes better use of the dollars we do have. We're doing the same thing within the administration looking at overlap between state agencies. As an example, I just mentioned the registration fees and licensing fees. We have a machine that's about the size of this wall behind me that scans and sorts everything you send in. We do 150,000 transactions a day through there, and it's done in 5 hours. At the same time, at DCNR, if you own an ATV, an all-terrain vehicle, you send your registration to them. They have 10 people opening envelopes with those checks. We could process that in an hour at a cost to them of $85,000 instead of 10 employees. That's an overlap that we're working on to eliminate. The same thing's true if you own a boat. You might send your registration for the boat to the Fish and Boat Commission. For a trailer, it's for us. we have the capacity to do that, and we're looking at whether or not we can reduce these overlaps and reduce costs overall state government. So that's a little bit about what we're working on, both within the administration, within PennDOT. It's about modernizing, it's about reducing the recurring cost of government, better use of technology, and ultimately making sure that when we ask you for more money, that you're confident we're going to make best use of it. I will look forward to working with you in the future. I know your chamber's been very supportive, as have others, of the need for funding increases, and we'll work with our legislature, as will I, going forward. One thing I will promise you is when we get to the point where we talk about additional funding, once it gets to that point, we will have a corresponding list of projects that we will daylight. If you're going to pay more, you deserve to know what you're going to get in terms of projects.